Hello folks, I'm Ed Overstreet and welcome to the Night Sky Imaging channel. We've been working on my workflow that I use when I'm processing deep space images. And so let's head over to PixInsight and pick up where we left off. Let me get you there by sharing my screen. Okie doke, and we are there. This is the NGC 7822 part of the sky, and one of the things we've noticed is that our RGB image really does not have an enormous amount of color or detail in it, and sometimes my RGB channels don't. So I really depend very heavily on having a strong luminance channel with detail and good tight sharp stars and the contrast in the luminance channel. So I want to get the colors right in my RGB channel. I want to get the colors the way I think they show the best. And that's a personal opinion thing. But I want to make sure that my luminance channels, of which we've created 3 different kinds of luminance channels, 3 degrees of brightness, I want to make sure that I get those right, because that's what's going to give my image the detail, the contrast, and the support that this RGB channel is going to need to look worth the dog. So right now, in order to start that process of correcting color, we're going to look at color calibration, and essentially we're going to look at 3 different approaches to color calibration. When I first started using PixInsight, I used the color calibration process, and I saved that as an icon because I still often use it to compare against any of the other methods of calibrating. But it's a very accurate method to get a good color calibration. I'm going to close that. Another process is called the, let's don't go there, let's go to Script and Utilities, and let's go down to Auto Color. Now I don't want to click on that because it automatically starts color calibrating, but that one is a script that was created by Hartman Borman, and I will put a link on the website so that you can download those scripts. But I'm thinking that in the more recent releases of PixInsight, that's now been included. I'm not positive, but at any rate, I will put a link to this script, and there are other scripts there as well that I highly recommend that he's created. So. And then, of course, this is my, by far, my favorite method of calibrating color, and that is the photometric color calibration. It does require that you download and install 2 catalogs. This is the, and I think that if you want to spend a lot of time with this process, that you really don't have to have those catalogs. And it will go out and search on the internet, provided you're on the internet. It will go out and search for and find the proper catalog with which it can color calibrate your image. More on that later. That'll be the last one we're going to be looking at. So what I want to do is let's close that out, and we're going to make two other copies of this by just grabbing the tab and dropping it on your desktop. And we're going to call this one let's go back to Auto Color. And that'll be the first one we'll use. And we're going to call this one color, calibration, and we'll do that next. And this will be the last one, and this is going to be photometric calibration, and we'll save that one for last. So let's put this one up here. I want to, no, we didn't need to do that. Let's delete, and let's put this one up here. Okay. So let's go to AutoColor first, and as I said, when you open up AutoColor, it automatically begins its job of calibrating, color calibrating your image. So let's go get it. We go into Scripts, we go to Utilities, and we click on AutoColor, and we let it do its thing. It's going to take it a few minutes. And one thing I need to mention, if you've drizzled your images, not only does the process of drizzling take time, but it also will increase your file size such that all the other processes that you might use in PixInsight are going to take longer than had you not drizzled. So at any rate, we'll come back when this is done. Okay, it's finished, and it has actually made some changes in the color, and I like it. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and set that one up here, and this is the very traditional process that I would say I grew up on using this. And so let's open it up. And there's a lot of different approaches to using your white balance. If you have structure detection selected, you can use just the image as your background, and it will pick your structures, which is in your stars and primarily, and it will use that as the white balance. I usually uncheck this, and I try to find one of the whiter stars that are not oversaturated. And then of course the background image is pretty easy to find, so let's go ahead and create a background image, and let's use the let's click the preview button. Now on a Mac, you don't have a workable hotkey, so you need to have this icon for preview checked, and then we're going to find an area of the sky where we can define that as our background, and let's move up here, and I think let's go about right here. Alright, and that'll be preview 1, so I'm going to come over here and click preview 1 as soon as I find it. And there it is. Okay, so we have preview 1, and now let's look for a star that is going to show us some white. Let's try, let's look at this here. This has a lot of blue in it. And let's try this one. It still has a lot of blue in it. but it has, I'm looking down here when I hover over the image, and it's got blue, green, and red. I would have thought it had more red than blue, but what do I know? Let's continue. This is give us a larger preview. I'm going to probably use this anyway. Oh, gracious, that's got a lot of blue in it. So let me back off here. Let's go to this one right in the center. And see, first, are we oversaturated? No. But I'm going to use this. I think I can probably, let's create another preview. Just for this white area. Okay. And we're going to use this, and this will be preview 2. Okay. I'm not going to check anything else out. We'll just color calibrate. And it's done. And we have an enormous amount of green bias with this method. Now, that would vary if I picked another star. So, tell you what, let's do. Let's go to Photometric Calibration. Let's make one more clone. And let's put this back. And we're going to call this color calibration structure. So I misspelled it, but whatever. Alright, so we're going to put that one in its home, and we're going to click the image color calibration structure, and we're going to select structure detail. We're going to create a new background image. Let's go up. I saw some areas up here that I thought would show up. There we go. I like this up in here too. Let's create another background. That'll work. Doesn't have to be big. And this will be preview 1 structure. And let's try applying that now. So we get a little different look. Let's stretch it. And again, when you drizzle, it takes just a little bit longer. Okay, this is the structure method, and if we bring up the method that involved picking a white star, and or if you had a core that wasn't saturated, that was predominantly white, and use that as your reference images for your white balance, and then use the pick a background. But so you have two variations really of running color calibration. So let's keep them both for right now, and let's put this one alongside that calibration. And now we're going to use the photometric calibration, which is the one I've become most comfortable with. Really like the application and how it works. Now, before you do run this, you're going to need to do a couple of things. One, you're going to need to download the Gaia DR2 catalog and the APAS catalog. And you can find those at the software distribution page of PixInsight. It's where you'll download your newest edition of PixInsight, or if you're downloading it for the very first time, it's this page, and you have the option for DR10 or DR9. I went with DR9. It covers a good bit of the sky. It doesn't cover all the sky, nor does DR10. You can download them both, and if you can't get a plate solve, you can go try the other catalog. That's essentially what I've done. So, but I use DR9 99% of the time, and then for my APAS catalog, and then you can also use the DR2 Gaia for your, this is the photometry catalog. So this is the astrometry catalog and the photometry. I can't say those two words, but at any rate, let's go back to PixInsight. Because I let it pick, in both cases, which catalog to use. If you want to deselect it, you can pick the other catalogs that you have installed, but I let PixInsight decide. I left this photometric calibration to do this automatically for the astrometry catalog and for the photometry catalog. One is going to plate solve your image, and it's going to find a catalog that you've installed. It's going to find this image in the catalog so that it will have identified all of the stars, and then it's going to use the photometry side of the color calibration to apply the proper colors to the stars, which will, once done, will help to color calibrate the entire image. Now, technically speaking, I think I've got as close an understanding as I possibly can, but I do not know what's going on under the hood. And I don't profess to have all the answers to this, but I do know that it's both plate solving and it's applying colors from accurate color renditions from other catalogs to apply to your image. So it's fixing it the way it's supposed to be. And so let's look at the settings. One of the things that you do need to do is you have to put in the right ascension of the declination coordinates. And since I know what those are, I can add those myself. But if you want to search them, you can click search and type in NGC, this is 7822, and search. It found them, and get will put the right ascension and declination address in the boxes for you. I prefer, though, to try acquire from image, and when I do that, it says the active image has no position or acquisition metadata. Part of that has to do with the fact that I've overwritten some of the information in the FITS file or erased it. I assume that's what's happening when I did these other processing steps, especially the drizzle step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the file. I'm going to go back to, let's see, this was taken in October, and let's find, this is 7822, and where is 7822? Here it is. Okay, and let's go to the one of the files that we blinked, and let's pull up this HA file. And so I'm betting that the coordinates can be found here. So I'm going to make this my active image, and I'm going to click on acquire, and it did. It found everything I want. RA, dec, the time, the focal length of my telescope, and the pixel size, because that was all part of the light frame fits header. And so it's populated this with the proper information. Now, there is a caveat. Had I not drizzled, I would leave this alone. But because I drizzled times 2, I have got to increase either the pixel size by 2 or the focal length by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the focal length, and I'm going to make it about 672. No, 772. So that'll be the focal length. Everything else, if I were you, let me make sure I've got all these windows opened, and so that you can see everything else, I would copy exactly. I'm going to go down through here and double check. Yes, I will often click on distortion correction when I have real wide field, and this is wide field at 336 millimeter, because I do have distortion in the corners. Let's see. I think that's all I need to do. So I can go ahead and close out this sub. I don't need to color calibrate that. And all I'm going to do now is just drag this over and drop it, and it's going to begin the color calibration process using photometric color calibration. And when it's finished, we'll be back. Okay, it just finished. So let's close this out. And this is the rendering by the photometric color calibrating process, and this is the one that I will go with. So I'm going to before I do that though, I'm going to put this one out for you to look at. I'm going to bring out the color calibration with structure. I'm going to bring out the color calibration where I picked out a star, and of course the background is essentially the same. And then I'm going to select the auto color by Hartman-Borman, and I'm going to compare the auto color with the one by photometric color calibration. It's probably the closest auto color. Auto color is showing a lot more blue than is the photometric color calibration, but the blue's in there. It just needs to come out. So what I'm going to do is close down all of these, and I'm going to leave them there, because in the whole scope of this processing tutorial, if I end up not liking the way things are turning out, I may go back and pick up on auto color. I will already have had it processed, so I'm just going to keep it there. It's not hurting anything. It's taking up a little real estate, but I have plenty of screen to work with. Okay, with that being done, I'm going to make a clone, and I'm going to put this one over here, and this will be the one we work on. Now, I want to mention background neutralization. I have it here as a tool. I do this before I run color calibration, if I do it at all, and as of late I hardly apply background neutralization. Now, the reason is that I'm using photometric color calibration 95% of the time, and it's correctly doing everything for me. But if I were dependent on this color calibration script where I'm picking the background, I'd feel more comfortable if I ran background neutralization first, and then when I picked a background preview to be used, I would think that I would have a more accurate background to be sampled. So it's up to you. It doesn't hurt anything running background neutralization. First started out, I always ran it before I did color calibration. I honestly can't tell you that I see a difference, but I've really never just sat down and probably need to do that and run background neutralization, then do auto color for each of those methods that I just showed you, and then run it without background neutralization and compare and see if there is a difference. If there is, does it make it? Is it significant enough that I either use or don't use it? So that might be another day tutorial. Okay. Well, we're finished calibrating our image. The colors in our calibrated image now are ready to be stretched, and we'll pick up stretching, which is the conversion from the linear to the non-linear state. And what will happen when we make that final decision is that a lot of the processes in PixInsight that you use in the linear state really don't work as well once you've made a stretch into non-linear. So it's kind of like you've cooked it in the oven, and the oven's done all it can do to prepare it, and now it's out of the oven, and it's now non-linear, and while it's sitting and cooling, you do all the other things you're going to do to make your cake prettier. So you have to cook it first, and then you have to decorate it. And so we're now in the headed into the nonlinear state, and we'll stretch it in our next video. I do appreciate your watching, and if this is any help to you at all, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel and click on like, and there's a bell in there somewhere, although I've never found it. You're supposed to ring it, and if you do, I think that when I do a new upload or I go live, and I do a lot of live imaging online, then you'll be notified. This is a new channel. I started it, well, actually I created it a couple of years ago, but it didn't add content until last April, and I'm trying to add content at least every week, and I'm doing, in some cases, if the skies are clear, I always image live, and so whether it turns out good or turns out bad, I go live, and you get what you get. So consider subscribing and liking, and with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. Find somebody that you want to find somebody and say something nice to them, and I know you're going to benefit from that, and you're going to make their day. So have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next video.